Welcome back to episode 9. Today I want to talk about a little bit more in-depth and more practical stuff about the daily gym owners' challenges and hurdles, so to speak. And diving a little bit deeper into what the craft of running a gym actually is, because I don't even think it's coaching. It's a lot about communicating and dealing with people and just making sure you get the right message across, and not only from your perspective but also in people's perception, because like in my head everything's pretty clear. Well, not most of the time, but when it comes to what I want to see in the gym, etc., etc. But so, and I can try to communicate as best as possible with my like the best fitting words in my vocabulary, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that's gonna elicit the same response in the other person's reaction. So that means sometimes it's very hard to kind of get your own ideas into somebody else's head. Obviously, that's not going to happen like in the first meeting or the first two meetings. So it's a constant and a long, almost a battle to kind of keep reassuring and reinforcing your thoughts, your ideas, your communication, your way of doing things to your members, to your coaches, and last but not least to yourself. So for me, the craft is not really running the gym. Obviously you have to get the basics right and the numbers, etc., but the real craft to me is dealing with people and communicating with people. So, and I think that's why we gym owners and coaches have such a hard time defining that for us, because that craft is not like established yet. Yes, there are trainers and coaches, etc., out there, but the definition of what the craft actually looks like is very vague, very, very open. So that's why I want to dive a little bit deeper into, okay, let's take a practical example or a problem, a challenge, and see how we can tackle it. And in my head, there's a couple of stages, like almost with the craftsman, when there's an apprentice. So when you get started, you just get to get your own like classes, and you're just shadowing, and you try to get the first laurels, etc. And then you kind of diving into the journeyman status. So yes, you've been in for a couple of years now, but there's still something missing in. Not even missing, it's we are not realizing what else needs to be done to kind of become a master. And especially when there's no like 100% definition of what the craft of running a gym is. So let's take a practical example. I got a couple of questions from last week from other gym owners. So one of the most important question was, obviously we have only 24 hours a day, and there's like so much stuff to do. Like how can I prioritize, and how can I still make sure that my training is as important as it should be? So the answer for me is pretty simple. Think about what you need to be like super energized and super happy, whether that's training in the morning, training at night, during the day. So try to figure out what literally helps you to stay energized all day, like doing some work, quote unquote, like emails or phone calls, etc., in the morning, and then coaching classes and then training, or in a different order. So obviously there's no right or wrong, but make sure you have a plan, and make sure you know when you like training. Like sometimes it's not possible, of course, because there's a little bit of chaos throughout the day, but my first question is, okay, when you like to train, like when you feel most energetic, when before work, after work, before coaching classes, after coaching classes, and then make sure you get enough of it, whatever that means for you. Maybe it's 3 times a week, 4 times a week, maybe it's daily, but kind of you're in power of your own time. So just make sure you plan accordingly, and think about, take an empty sheet of paper and just write down like what's the most important stuff you want to get done at the end of the day. I think if there's more than 5 things on that list, it might not work, because we only have 24 hours and we need to sleep and we need to eat, and there's always something happening that is not planned, like the coffee machine breaks, or I don't know, there's something happening in the bathroom, or you just get a drop in from the street, or a visitor from somewhere else, and you have to spend 30 to 60 minutes kind of talking to that person. So sit down and write down what your top priorities are, and make yourself happy to kind of finish off the day with, all right, I looked at my priority list, I acted accordingly, and that's it. And for me, sometimes it's I put a lot of not stress, but I like to challenge myself. So I think I can do like 17 things a day and work on writing an article and doing a podcast and coaching and picking up my son and doing a lot of other stuff. And that kind of led to me being very disappointed about myself, because it was plain simple, it was just too much. And that doesn't mean you're lazy. It's just at first, for the first couple of weeks and months, make sure you get like your baseline in on a daily basis, stuff that's important for you. And that helped me a lot in kind of taking even my coaching to the next level, because I was just like more relieved and more energetic and more powerful in my own coaching sessions, because I was like, all right, I've done like the most important stuff for the day. Obviously there's always more stuff to do, and now it's coaching time and nothing else. I'm not thinking about what else to do and how to fix the bathroom and ABCD. So now it's just coaching. And sometimes working on your own craft just means being able to focus more, and not necessarily think about like the multitasking myth and do 7 things at the same time, because none of them will be as good as you would like to. So we all have, like, as gym owners, as head coaches, we all have a lot of duties to do throughout the day. Sit down, take an empty sheet of paper, and make sure you get like 3, maybe 4 or 5 things on that list. Make sure you include your own training and plan your own training accordingly. And the second part of the question was actually, I have a hard time like pushing in those training sessions. And for me, that has a lot to do with like the stress you're putting on yourself to not being able to focus on a training session, if that makes sense. So if you're hopping into your training session, like that's the only thing you care about, whether it's dumbbell presses and you're going to focus on one thing that you want to make better in that session, take your phone away, maybe film yourself, put it on flight mode. You can still film in flight mode, so you cannot check any additional messages. So for me, lacking the ability of training with intensity often goes, for me, hand in hand with not focusing enough on the actual task. And that will lead to a lot of self-talks about, hey, I should have done this training session better. And then kind of the snowball gets rolling, and it's very challenging to kind of get out of the rhythm. But at first, it's 3, 4 things you want to do at the day. During that day, prioritize it, and it will not always go as planned, and that's fine. Do do the most important stuff as early as you can. Focus on your training. When you train, whether it's 30 minutes or 60 minutes, I don't care. Focus on it. Get your full energy on it. Make yourself proud and make yourself feel good about yourself, because you put everything you had that day into your training session. All right, guys. I want to talk about the second question I got on the next episode. Again, if there's any stuff that I can help you with, any questions about like even quote unquote boring stuff like the daily typical work, let me know and we'll talk about it. See you guys soon.